Hey there, good afternoon. This is Colorado National Monument in western Colorado, outside of the town of Durango. I hadn't heard of this place and wouldn't have heard of it, except that last night I planned to stay in Durango, excuse me, not Durango, Grand Junction. Grand Junction is a short drive away. And so last night I was driving from the Denver area. I was visiting my dad there, and then decided to do some more kind of wilderness, just kind of hiking and stuff like that, while it is still possible before winter is on the way. And so I reserved a hotel in Grand Junction for last night, about $76, so a fairly decent deal there. But anyways, I was looking for dinner. I went to a Applebee's, somewhere that I don't think that I've ever been to a Applebee's before. And by the way, no, I am not lost. I was just poking around. There is a real trail up ahead here. And so I was in the Applebee's, and there was a picture on the wall of Colorado National Monument, and it looked kind of cool. So I looked on the map and realized it's just 15 minutes outside of Grand Junction. And so I thought that I would talk about how I managed to afford all of this traveling without ever apparently working a regular job. And that is true. I don't have a regular job. My job is YouTube. This is it. This is how I afford to travel, is filming these videos. YouTube is owned by Google. Google controls the advertising. They put ads on the videos, and just like TV, people watching the ads and then presumably going out and buying stuff based on watching those ads. That is how I make a living, because YouTube basically cuts it 50-50. I think it's actually maybe 55% goes to me and 45% goes to Google. That is the last that I remember seeing it. Anyways, it is basically a 50-50 split of the advertising revenue that the advertisers pay to YouTube. And so I get a chunk of money from the ads that show on these videos. And so that is just the short answer. I don't have any other, secret job or any other source of income. No, trust fund, no checks coming from my parents or my grandfather or anything like that. It is all, funded by myself all of my life. That I've been paying for my travels in the past by just scraping up the money, by working various jobs, working in Jasper National Park, Canada from 2008 to 2014. That was actually my last regular job, was Jasper in the fall of 2014. I left and I had the YouTube channel. I had posted a lot of videos at that point, and I was making like $80 a month when I left in December of 2014 and started a trip to Hawaii first, and then Mexico, Belize, Guatemala. And I just kind of got more persistent in the videos and trying different ideas and approaches and stuff, making more of the, how much does it cost, and city tours and various adventures. So you can see all these other trails going off here. So I guess it's okay to just kind of explore around. I'm not sure if there's like going to be a particular point here, or if this is just it. This is just the Devil's Kitchen or what. But here we got a cairn. Follow the cairn. But man, I just love these kinds of landscapes where you can, see what's going on, and the beautiful canyons, and especially without the crowds. And so 4 months later, in the spring of 2015, after posting a lot of videos from Mexico and Central America, I was making like $500 to $600 a month. And so that was a huge improvement. And so I just kind of stuck with it, even though I was barely covering the costs at that point. That summer, then I did do a little bit of work for my friend Sterling in Hawaii, and I did some house sitting and saved some money that way. But none of that, resulted in much in the way of cash. But I was getting the checks coming in. I had traveled for the previous 4 months based on my savings from working in Jasper. I had like $5,000 saved up. And so I just kind of managed to squeak by, and then went to Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. I'm not going to, tell the whole story of the past 6 years here and bore you with that. But anyways, I just kind of stuck with it. And over the years after that, it was just a steady, increase in my income. I went to Alaska and washed dishes for a month there. And so that was kind of the last regular job that I had, but that was just for a month. And otherwise, it's been just YouTube paying the bills. Now, I do have other sources of income that are connected to the videos. And if you're curious what that is, then just click show more in the description section right below this video, and you'll see a bunch of links. And so those links, a lot of them anyways, translate into a bit of extra income if people use the affiliate link for booking.com or Airbnb, or buy my books on Amazon.com, books that I've written, or use my Amazon store, and you click on that, and then if you buy anything, then I get a commission from that. There's also my Patreon page, which is the second biggest source of my income. But basically, all of those things. Okay, I thought I was on. Yeah, there's the trail. There's the cairn. Okay, I guess it just keeps on going this way. But basically, all of those other sources combined only add up to be like 15, maybe 20% max of my income. All the rest is from YouTube ad revenue. So that is really what's paying for all of my traveling. And so, am I rich? So, it's an understandable question, and especially someone working a hard job, paying their bills, living in a regular, humble home, and just covering the expenses with nothing much left over afterwards, then, it can look like, well, I just have, gobs and gobs of cash. And of course, it is all relative. It just depends on who you compare yourself to, compared to a person living in the slums of India, or, an average person in a lot of the world making, whatever, $1,000 a month, or a lot less than that, a few $100s a month or whatever, then yes, I am kind of filthy, stinking rich to be able to just travel around the world and afford $100, maybe even $200 hotel rooms for the night, although that is actually putting me over budget, and I will talk about that more in just a second. But compared to the poorest people in the world, then I'm in a position of great advantage and privilege. However, my income is actually completely average. If you look at like the average income for the United States, and that doesn't mean halfway between poor and super rich, that is the, complete average of all incomes, somewhere in the range of like 50 grand a year or something like that, then that is around what I'm making. It is super variable, depends month to month, year to year, goes up and down. But well, got to be careful here. You start slipping on these rocks and then you're over the edge. And so, my income is not anywhere near the rich bracket or whatever. It is completely average, especially for someone of my age, in my 40s. Then I'm making a totally average wage that for many people would just kind of barely cover the expenses, especially if you have a family. Then, your mortgage or your rent and your car payment and your student loan and your food and paying for your kids and all that, then what I am making now, that would be just a wage that you could get by on. The big difference, and this is kind of the ultimate answer to the question, is like, why can I afford to do all this traveling? It is not because I have, big chunks of cash coming in. It is because I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a car payment. I have a old 20-year-old car that's paid off. I don't have any expenses hardly at all back home in the US, other than a storage payment for my storage space in Portland that is $10 a month. It is in the basement of the apartments where I lived back in 2007 and 2008, and luckily I got that storage space when I moved out, because I was going on a trip to Asia in 2007, and I kept it after that. And so I've saved a lot of money by having such a cheap storage space. And then, my phone bill and my student loan, but that's about it. And so all of my income can go towards traveling. So there's your answer, basically, is I don't pay rent somewhere else back home. There are lots of other travelers who do that. And as a result, then they have basically double expenses of rent and then their hotel. But for me, the hotel, that is my rent. And it's not cheap when I'm spending $100 a night on a hotel, $76 for that one in Grand Junction. Pretty good deal there. But as you've seen in my recent videos, especially on this trip to Europe, and that's what I'm going to talk about next, then it was kind of expensive. And the reality is that if I'm spending $150 on a hotel, I am over budget. I am making less than that. I mean, it depends on the day, but especially when you factor in the other expenses, rental car, food, bus, the price of tourist attractions, and everything else that is involved in traveling, then I'm over budget at that rate. And so I thought that I would just kind of talk about this last trip. It was, a really amazing trip. I went to Greece first, just because I wanted to go back to Greece, and because I couldn't last year. The Schengen zone of countries was closed off to Americans last year after the pandemic started, and Americans were not allowed to travel in most of Western Europe. So what exactly is the Devil's Kitchen? I guess this is just it. It's just these canyons and caves and stuff. Okay, the trail keeps on going. And so I couldn't go to Greece or anywhere else in Western Europe last year. And so when it opened up earlier this year, then I was like, okay, I'm on it. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to go back to Greece and other countries in Western Europe, because who knows if it will be closed off again. And of course, I am a Greco-phile, a lover of Greece. And so anyways, flew to Greece and spent a month there, and then I wanted to go into the Italian Alps. I hadn't been there before, so flew to Italy, and then from Italy wanted to get up into the Swiss Alps. They're amazing. And so went there for 10 days or so, and it was crazy expensive and was definitely squeezing my budget. And so from there I was looking at other options, and all of the better flights were out of Germany instead of out of Switzerland. And so I headed into Germany for kind of a quick visit, and then decided I wanted to go back to Greece. Okay, I think this is really the end of the trail. And so I went back to Greece, and after a couple weeks realized, oh man, my 90 days is almost up. You get 90 days in the Schengen zone of countries, and there was some confusion with people posting various ideas for how to get around the 90-day limit in the Schengen zone of Western Europe. You can't just leave the Schengen zone or one of the Schengen countries, let's say Greece, and then from there go to a non-Schengen country, let's say Turkey, for example, right next to Greece, and then just turn around and go back in to Greece and then get another 90 days. It doesn't work like that. It is 90 days within 180 days, period. So when you first enter the Schengen zone, that is when the clock starts ticking, and you now have 90 days to spend in all of the Schengen countries over the course of the next 180 days or 6 months, and you can go in and out as much as you want. I believe there is no limit at all on how many times you can leave the Schengen zone to a non-Schengen country and then come back, but you have to keep track and know how much time you have spent in total, and you count partial days as a full day. If you fly in on a Monday at 6 p.m. and you leave on a Friday at 8 in the morning, that will count as 5 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so you have to keep track and make sure you get it right, because if you are even a day over, depending on various circumstances, then you can get fined or banned from coming back into the Schengen countries for a year or two, or who knows what. It is super variable and unpredictable, but you don't really want to take that chance and find out the possible consequences. And so anyways, there I was in Greece and realized that I only had a couple of weeks left of my 90 days. And so I decided to take advantage and finally go to Poland, which I hadn't been to yet. And so I went there and then had a few days left and decided to stop in Malaga, Spain, because it was on the way to Morocco, and I wanted to go to Morocco. And as I explained in another video, then that didn't work out because I went to check in for the flight and I didn't have a COVID test, because I thought that my vaccination proof was going to be enough, but it wasn't. And so I was denied entering Morocco and even getting on that plane. And so in the airport in Malaga, Spain, then I just kind of changed plans all of a sudden and booked a flight that I found for that same day, just a few hours later, to Ireland, which is not part of the Schengen zone. And so that is another one of the confusing things, is even though it is Western Europe, and Ireland is even part of the European Union, but it is not part of the Schengen zone. And so that is actually good for travelers, because then it's somewhere you can go after you've used up your 90 days and stay there for, like, I think another 90 days if you want. Same with the United Kingdom. And so anyways, that encapsulates the summer of travels for me. And it was not the most practical trip in terms of finances, because the views weren't great on those videos, on most of them. I wasn't getting, tons of views. And I think that is in large part because, people are more interested in less known places. So I'm now kind of sort of lost. I have lost the main trail, but there's only one way out of here, so I'll find it. Actually, maybe this is the trail. Anyway, not too concerned here. Yeah, this is looking good. And so I think I probably would have had more views to my videos if I'd gone to some other countries that I was planning and really looking forward to going to, like going back to Morocco and going to Tunisia for the first time, going back to the Republic of Georgia, Ukraine, and some other, less traveled countries that are really, really interesting. Then I probably would have gotten some more views on those videos, and also it would have been a whole lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. Like I probably would have spent, a third of the money or something like that. And so that would have been kind of more practical. And that's what I'm thinking for my next travels, maybe soon, is getting back to some of those cheaper and just plain more interesting countries. It'll be more fun for you guys, more interesting, and frankly, I will enjoy it more as well, because I love those less popular, kind of more gritty and unusual, less well-known places as well. So anyways, it was a really awesome trip, can't complain. Greek islands and getting up into the Alps, hiking and bicycling, and finally seeing Poland, and my road trip around Ireland was just really amazing. So definitely a awesome summer of traveling, but I'm looking forward to getting to some other places sometime soon. So I think I will finish this video here. Starting to rain, so I'm not sure what the heck I'm going to do for the rest of today. I guess maybe do a bit more hiking around, and then I don't know, maybe find like a hot tub somewhere or something like that. All right, so I don't know, how much more filming I'm going to be doing in the coming, couple of weeks or whatever that I'm going to be back here in the US, but we shall see. All right, see ya.